Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Did You Hear About This? The new show Scott and I are putting together. It's very much like the old show, but it's just got a new name and tightened up a little bit more. We are going to talk about a lot of show business news and different stories and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about now. We're cutting out all the bullshit.
No more bullshit. Clean out with the bullshit.
We hate bullshit.
Actually, we love a lot of bullshit.
We love when the bullshit takes us off the rails, and that's what you can expect from our show. We will be all over the place, non sequiturs. If you like Family Guy, you'll love us. We do the same damn thing.
Yeah, no lie there.
And by the way, this is real Bill, not AI Bill.
Not AI. Yeah, nothing like starting a new show and then just missing the first week.
Yeah, did you like what I said?
Yeah.
Scott's on vacation with his family, and Bill's dicking around with some dumb AI tool.
I have to tell you, it really didn't feel like a vacation. Like I was down at the beach. I took a 3-day weekend, but it was all competition, man. Like I was in a cooking competition. I was in a chili cook-off this weekend, and I won.
Was Homer Simpson there?
I'm missing a cook-off. No, I did have I wish I had like a pair of chili boots like Homer did, and like a big cowboy hat sombrero thing. Like that would be excellent to really set it off. But no, this was really my first competitive outside of work food competition.
What is the requirements of a chili cook-off to make the hottest?
No, it was a charity cook-off. It was a fundraiser for Make-A-Wish Foundation in New Jersey. It was down in Cape May. And there was really no requirements. You could make it however you wanted. Chili means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Some people are like, no beans in my chili. And then that's people from Texas, and everybody else is just like, no, chili has beans. There's this whole controversy going on. So I actually used the same recipe that I used when I won the chili cook-off at my work. And I made a few modifications, but yeah, it won. There was 6 other people there.
Did you win at work?
I did win at work,
Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be great if you're like, now you can take this award and shove it in their face and go.
And part of the reason why I wanted to do this was when I won at work, I was up against 5 other people. But my entire department went down, and they were my friends. They knew me. I didn't want to feel like I was stuff in the ballot box or anything. So this one I went down, it was put on by the Caldwell Banker realtors in that area. And I guess they do this. This was their second annual one. I just saw it in the magazine when we were down at the beach house, I don't know, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And I was like, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. I want to see if I can win outside of a fixed setting. And actually, the guy I beat that came in second was the guy that ran the entire show. So I was like, well, I know it's not nepotism because everybody there knew this guy. So yeah, no, I was afraid that it was going to be a little political, everybody coming in knew this guy. And I'm in a completely different state. Jenna was there. The kids were there. The kids were helping me with toppings and serving it up. And it was pretty cool. We probably, I don't know, maybe 250, 300 people came through, and I won. So now I'm the proud winner of a wooden spoon trophy and $150.
And bragging rights.
And a lot of people came through and they didn't know me from anybody. And they were like, hey, one guy said, it's a silent ballot, but I don't care who knows. You had the best one. And I was like, that's cool. And the crazy thing was, these weren't just all home cooks. It was a chili and chowder cook-off. So you could either do chili or chowder or both. I just focused on chili. But I was actually up against some of the local restaurants that are down there. And I actually beat the restaurant.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Now, I don't know who's going to a beach restaurant to eat chili, so I don't know how much they care about their chili recipes, but the place where it was hosted is a place called Harpoons on the Bay, right across the bay. Beautiful setting. It was definitely a good place to be on a Sunday morning. But I actually beat them, and it was their host event.
You know a lot about food. I was watching a show the other day. This guy's name is Eddie. I forgot his last name already. See, I'm so bad with these YouTubers put their heart and souls into things, and I watch hours and hours and then forget who they are. So he was doing a tour around the country, only going to, first he did, this is the second time he's done it. He's actually done it before. He went to every rainforest cafe, and then this time he went to Margaritaville.
Okay.
And you watch him go to every one, eat the food, and then, drink the drinks, get hammered, and, drive off and go to the next place. And he was complaining that a lot of the food was different. Sometimes it was great. Sometimes it was dog shit. I didn't realize that restaurant chains had such different variety in, the different restaurants across the country. I don't know what's making me think of this other than you're talking about beating restaurants.
Well, I mean, when it comes to cooking and me, like my thought about it, a lot of times it's not groundbreaking stuff. The ingredients aren't like remarkable things. It's the technique. So yeah, you can go to a Margaritaville and you're using the same recipe, but if your technique's not right, you're not going to get a good product. So I don't know. My wife, my kids, everybody's pressuring me to get into the food game, which I'm not completely against. I just don't know how to. I don't know how to have chili pay my mortgage, which is more of a concern for me right now. So I'm not making any giant moves anytime quick, but I'll definitely look into maybe doing a food truck or something down the line.
Well, this guy, Eddie, whose name I don't remember, it's like Burbank or something. Eddie Burbank, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, one of the other segments that he was airing was talking about ghost kitchens.
Yeah.
You know what those are?
I do. We actually had a bunch of those in the area here during the pandemic.
We did and don't anymore?
Like you could do DoorDash for like Guy Fieri's chicken, and they were making it out of the kitchen over at Buca di Beppo here locally. But you couldn't go to Buca di Beppo and order the chicken. It was like a ghost kitchen where they were making it there. DoorDash would pick it up there, serve it to your house. But yeah.
So Eddie was going down this rabbit hole for, his show. He found one kitchen, which was just like an empty kitchen, no sign on the door or anything. Yeah. It was just in a strip mall. And it had like 44 restaurants in there.
Yeah.
So when you're going through your DoorDash, you're like, oh, here's one called, Big Ass Beef Burger. But it's the same burger of 43 other restaurants that have a burger. And it looks the same. It tastes the same. It just has a different name across different restaurants.
Yeah.
And I read that, or I saw that, and I was thinking, what a scam. And then I thought, is it? Nothing illegal about it.
No. See, I was more familiar with ghost kitchens because it would be more like that, an unsigned kitchen. You couldn't even necessarily go in and buy the food there. But a lot of state laws, like you can't cook food in your home and then sell it. So it's just like a commercial kitchen that you can like rent time at and go there and prepare everything. And then people do pop-ups at their house or rent out pavilions or sell tickets or DoorDash like we were talking here. So it's a ghost kitchen in that you can't go and sit at a dining room and eat it. You have to get it someplace else, some other way.
Yeah, all right. Because I was going to say, if you're making it at home, where's the, who is it, the FDA? Who comes and checks to make sure that the restaurants are clean and everybody's following them?
I forget. Yeah. I don't know. That's all the shit I'd have to learn if I was ever going to do food.
If I got it right, the thing Eddie said was there's 3 different types of ghost kitchens. One is, like you said, Buco de Pepa. And he said them specifically. So that must be something they're doing everywhere because Eddie's from California. We're in Pennsylvania. So it's sharing the kitchen of an established restaurant, but you just kind of bring your crew in and they're cooking right alongside the Buca de Pepo people.
Yeah.
The other is these ghost kitchens that you said, you found in our town of Reading. But the other was these food trucks. They're growing in popularity. So they're running ghost kitchens on wheels.
Yeah, basically.
And that made me think of you. Your family's trying to get you into the food game. A food truck. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's what they're telling me to do. And I got to learn a lot more before I start making that plunge. But yeah, I'm down for. It's in the cards, maybe. It's in the cards.
I used to be grossed out by those food trucks because I'm thinking of all the exhaust that's like coming out of the truck and bleeding into the food and the raw vegetables and everything just sitting there. But I guess that's not the way it works.
No, the food trucks are actually more regulated than standalone restaurants are. Like brick and mortar have less overview than food trucks.
Why?
Probably because of the same concerns you just shared. Like people think, oh, it's a food truck, it's mobile, it's probably dirty. They really crack down on them.
Meanwhile, the standard restaurants are like, nobody's looking. Take that customer's done food and put it back in the fridge for the next guy.
Remember when Chi-Chi's got fined for that? They were like refrying the refried beans?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, real nasty shit.
Is that still around, Chi-Chi's?
No, they went out of business.
Yeah. Because I haven't seen one of them in a long time.
I think every place I knew there was a Chi-Chi's is now a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah, I don't know how those deals work. I remember working at Roy Rogers, which is a fast food restaurant really only around Philly and New York. I don't know how far.
It's Carl's Jr. Like, isn't it like Hardee's?
Yeah.
Roy Rogers and Carl's Jr., they're all like the same owners?
Well, Hardee's came in and eventually bought everything. But Boston Market was in the mix.
Really?
Yeah.
it's probably a big conglomerate like PepsiCo has Taco Bell and Pizza Hut and all that. I guess it's Yum Foods now. They branched off from Pepsi.
Yum.
That's how it trades on the stock market.
Well, we might as well start getting into our news stories here. I don't have any fuck-upperies. I don't have any mailbag.
Oh, I didn't hear anything that was wrong.
So we're going to assume everything was flawless.
Was right. There we go. Maybe there was things that were wrong, but we bitch about people telling us that things are wrong so often. They're just like, no, fuck these guys.
They're being nice to us. They don't they don't want to shame us too bad.
Yeah.
All right, looking through my stories, because I've been collecting them for about 2 weeks. Everything is, the same. There's not a whole lot of news, like industry news happening right now, except that Hollywood is dying. So every article I read is like, we're not really sure where this is going to go, what this is going to. I'm like, okay, so we're just going to stick with mostly, how do I say it? Like pop culture franchise news today. That's what I have a lot of.
Yeah, okay.
So I want to know, do you want to talk about Superman? Do you want to talk about Ghostbusters? Do you want to talk about Spider-Man?
Let's start with Spider-Man, yeah.
All right. This is one of my favorite ones because I'm a huge geek for the old Spider-Man animated cartoon in the 90s. Remember that?
I do.
So that cartoon was in the same world as this X-Men 97 that I just completed. Have you finished that?
No.
Holy shit.
So all of them came out.
They're all out now.
I know there was a big story about Wolverine, and I skipped past all the stories. I didn't want any spoilers, but...
All right. No spoilers here. I'll let you watch it. I mean, this isn't a spoiler, but it's as intense as it was when we started talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I mean, they did not let up at all.
Okay.
Well, this thing I'm about to tell you, I guess, is a spoiler, but it's more of an Easter egg.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't watch that Spider-Man animated series, so if this is about that, which it seems like it would based upon your setup, no spoiler for me.
All right, so this story says X-Men 97 finally resolves a Spider-Man animated series cliffhanger.
Oh, so that series ended on a cliffhanger.
It ended on a cliffhanger, and it's one of those like Alf, where like,
Did you make it back to Melmac?
Who knows? We never got the next season.
So this is like a season-ending cliffhanger, but it ended up being a series-ending cliffhanger because they just didn't do another season?
You got it.
Oh, it's like Models Inc., but back in the day.
All right, so this is right out of the article. Oh, I forgot to write down where this came from. So this is plagiarism, right?
Sure.
You don't cite where you got it from?
It is.
All right.
That's right.
Marvel Animation heads will recognize them as Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson as they appeared in Spider-Man the Animated Series, which was set in the same continuity as X-Men. What's notable here is that both MJ and Peter are seen here together in a show that's a sequel to their cartoon contemporary. Spider-Man famously ended on a cliffhanger as escalating threats led to the web slinger bopping his way around the multiverse. I know, and that's what it says in the article. I know.
Of multiverse.
With Madam Web, I know, it says again, to find Mary Jane. The reason? Earlier in the series, Peter learns that the Mary Jane he married at the start of the final season was in fact a clone. And the real Mary Jane was lost in limbo after getting pulled through a portal 2 seasons prior. So in this show, all of a sudden, they show Peter Parker and Mary Jane standing together. So the resolution is, we didn't get to see it, but he found her. It's a happy ending for Peter Parker and Mary Jane.
This wasn't the Mary Jane clone. This was the real Mary Jane.
That's the assumption. That's what everybody's assuming.
Yeah, but I thought it was the real Jean Grey. And so did Scott Summers.
Well, shit, this could just be nonsense. This is a really meta Easter egg. I saw it, but I didn't remember enough from the old Spider-Man to go, oh my God, they're back together. But somebody was able to go, oh my God, they're back together. Somebody saw it.
I didn't know that she was in the limbo stuck someplace.
Yeah, I barely remember. You could have told me the last episode she got in the porn. I'd be like, oh, okay, if you say so.
All right.
I don't fucking remember. Well, that was fun. The attention to detail that they put into that show. Again, no spoilers, anybody, but there's a lot of little Easter eggs throughout that thing. It's incredible.
I feel like it's just revisionist history going back and fixing things they fucked up before.
I mean, fucked up by not getting the series made, yeah.
I mean, yeah, but there were other things that were just like, oh, here's a continuity area we're just going to like explain away with another storyline. Do
you like that or not like that? Star Wars does it all the time.
I was going to say, listen, I'm a Star Wars fan. I kind of have to like it, or at least tolerate it. So yeah, I don't care.
Those are the little things I appreciate. Somebody had that thought, like, you know what would be fun to tie back this thing that only us super geeks would remember. Even I wasn't geeky enough to remember this. And I'm not a super geek, evidently.
The biggest thing I liked that Star Wars did, the Phoenix Squadron from Star Wars Rebel with Hera and Ezra, the animated one.
That was the Phoenix Squadron? They rode the Ghost? That was their ship? I don't think I ever knew they were called the Phoenix Squadron.
The Phantom was the little ship on the back of the Ghost that disconnected.
Okay.
It got blown up in season 2. In season 3, they got a new Phantom 2, and it was actually General Grievous's ship from Attack of the Clone.
And they say that, or do you figure it out?
They went to the exact same base where the droid commander was still. It was almost like one of those classic World War II things where there's like a Japanese soldier like on an island that doesn't know the war's over. There was a droid commander bot at the same place where they got the Phantom 2, and it was the exact same base that Grievous got killed in by General Kenobi.
I love those little Easter eggs. That's cool.
I don't know that people really made a big deal about it. I may be blowing Star Wars nerds' minds by sharing this right now. When Kanan Jarrus and Ezra hop in that ship, and it just so conveniently happens to attach to the back of the Ghost, it became the Phantom 2. That was General Grievous's ship that he landed in right before Kenobi killed him.
That's killer. Those are good Easter eggs.
Yeah.
We've been talking on the show about Easter eggs that you just force in. Like Ghostbusters had so many, it was just like, ugh.
Here we go.
It was
shoehorning them in. And this was just happened to be in the background. They needed a new ship. They were at this base. Let's make it that one. That's cool. It was seamless.
They had an Easter egg, I think it was in the Boba Fett show that nobody liked. Maybe it wasn't that, but it was a scene in Tatooine. They went into a bar, and there were two humans in the bar. And it wasn't the Tatooine bar, the the Mos Eisley bar.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go, what show was it?
That was
Boba Fett?
That was Boba Fett. Or maybe it was Mandalorian. And maybe Mandalorian season 2 that became, Boba Fett became.
Dude,
it was one of them. It all ran together.
All runs together. Absolutely.
But I know what you're talking about. They had Zeb there from Phoenix Squadron, was sitting at the bar with Dave Filoni and the other space sheriff.
Shit, I'm going even deeper than that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I remember that scene too. That was a different bar, I think.
Oh, okay. That's where I thought you were going.
This is a bar where two humans are in there. Those two humans, when you go and look up who they were, because it's kind of like, hey, there's two humans, and they show them, they feature them, and then they don't show them again. Those two humans were the original actors who filmed a scene with Mark Hamill way back in 1977 that got cut. Have you always heard about how there's some stuff from Star Wars, like you get to meet Biggs and...
This is when he was going to go... Well, Wedge Antilles was in there. He went to go meet Wedge. He was going to get power converter. Oh, but Uncle Owen, I was going to go down to...
I don't think it's Wedge, it's Biggs.
Biggs. You're right, it is Biggs.
So this scene just shows two people, and somehow I caught that was the actual actors from the deleted scene from the very first New Hope. Like, what an incredible Easter egg. They went and found these actors who probably weren't even acting anymore.
And people didn't like it?
I don't think people got it because it was so deep.
Oh, okay. And it didn't get brought up on Screen Crush or New Rock Stars?
Maybe that's how I learned it.
But, maybe. Okay.
But, like, you have to be a fan to really want to watch New Rock Stars or Screen Crush.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But, if they keep on doing Easter eggs like that, I love it. If they keep on forcing them in, down our throats, it doesn't taste good.
But it seems like the Spider-Man thing, to get back to our story, was kind of just in there. It wasn't like hitting you over the head with it or anything.
Right. Yeah, it was great.
Who remembers that Mary Jane was lost in limbo?
Right.
In the multiverse yet? Or would it be the Spider-Verse?
All right, so we watched Madam Web.
Did you?
Yeah, we did. And Amy's watching this with me, and I'm like, all right, so this isn't the multiverse. There's a Spider-Verse and a multiverse, and it's their own and she's like, I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody does.
That movie was a train wreck. The end of the day, just by watching the movie, that whatever the script was that they started with got changed maybe late in the game because it looks like they're repiecing a movie and putting together a brand new narrative. And that's why the movie looks so bad.
So it wasn't just the acting. It was actually the whole production and everything.
The whole thing. The acting, she is awful.
Really?
I've never seen her in anything. Her name is Clarissa or something in this show, but what's her real name? Don Johnson's daughter?
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson. Never seen her in anything. How was she a star?
Because Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith are her parents?
She was atrocious. Just atrocious in this.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it was not redeemable. But then Amy goes, at the end of the day, I liked it. Like, it was a good story. She goes, the execution wasn't great, but the story was okay.
Do you agree?
Somehow I do. Yeah, because I was kind of like, on paper, this works. But in execution, it failed miserably.
That's the only positive thing I heard anyone say about this movie.
I'm digging.
All right.
I'm digging deep.
All right.
Well, since we're talking about women superheroes, how about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow? The second picture from James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios gets a summer 2026 release. What do you know about this movie?
Nothing.
What do you know about Supergirl?
I know it was like a WB show for a while, right?
Yeah.
Same character?
No, it's going to be different. It's
okay.
all
But not connected at all to the small screen stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Did you ever see the original Supergirl movie? Christopher Reeves wasn't in it, but it was around that time.
This was basically Superman 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 3.5.
Right. Yeah.
And it tanked. It did terrible.
We talked about it on here before. I never watched it, though.
Well, I'm into them giving Supergirl another shot. I liked the Supergirl show for a little bit. That was a show that I had to watch in fast forward. I'd tape it, all the melodrama, all the soap opera, teenage stuff, I'd fast forward. As soon as I saw Supergirl or anybody flying around, I'd hit play and I'd watch the action. And it was, for a TV show on the WB, it wasn't that bad. Or
that's why those WB or CW, I guess it
CW.
was. That's why none of those shows appealed to me. It was always too much angsty teenage bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, no question.
Yeah. It was like 10 Things I Hate About You with some superheroes in it.
Yeah. Well, let me read this right off the article. Mark your calendar. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, directed by Craig Gillespie and starring Millie Alcock. Is that a British woman? I hope so.
It sounds like a British
It's
name.
a perfect British name.
Hello, Governor.
Millie Alcock here to play Supergirl. This film is the second major release under James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Studios following Gunn's Superman movie in 2025. The story, adapted from Tom King's 2022 comic series, promises a darker, more hardcore Supergirl.
Darker and hardcore.
Gunn said in a DC Studio presser. What's a presser? A press release?
Yeah.
Press.
That's a one-pager.
I got to go do a presser tomorrow. Gunn said at a DC presser earlier last year that in their Supergirl, we see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock, a chip off Krypton, and watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life.
Wow.
And then came to Earth when she was a young girl. She's much more hardcore. She's not exactly the Supergirl we're used to seeing.
Nice.
All right, so different kind of hardcore.
Oh, okay. I thought James Gunn was really stretching to make this universe work.
Look, you got to do what you got to do, and sex sells.
You got to pay the bills.
All right, then I'll do my last of the three topics I threw out at you. This one's about Ghostbusters. So this is from Screen Rant. The title is More Money Than They Offered Me. OG Ghostbusters star refusal to return, addressed by Ernie Hudson. Who do you think the OG Ghostbuster who refused to return is?
Oh, Bill Murray.
But he returned.
So you're saying like they offered somebody more money that didn't want to. I read a story that Rick Moranis did not want to return to the show.
Well, this is that story.
Is it?
Yeah. Ernie Hudson addresses Rick Moranis' refusal to return to the Ghostbusters franchise despite being offered a significant amount of money. Hudson expresses disappointment but respects Moranis' decision, attributing it to his overall withdrawal from acting since 2006. This decision seems final, making it unlikely for Moranis to reprise his role as Louis Tully, but I like that the title is More Money Than They Offered Me. That doesn't seem right. Like, listen, we just need this guy to come back and do some gags, but we're not going to give that same amount of money to a main Ghostbuster. I hope that's not true. Ugh.
Well, what's more important, another Ghostbuster or comic relief? 'Cause that movie could have really used some comic relief.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
Right?
It wasn't funny.
It wasn't a funny. No, it wasn't. Who was comic relief? That fucking podcast kid that you hated?
I guess it was Paul Rudd.
Oh, Paul Rudd. Yeah. Okay. I still think Rick Moranis would have been better.
We will never know. He's too busy getting punched out in New York, walking around.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That did happen.
Yeah, there was a skit on Saturday Night Live the other day where it was Jake Gyllenhaal was hosting.
Yeah.
And he was playing he was playing a cop who was announcing to everybody in New York, please stop punching character actors in the street. They did a whole thing on it. Because, who was it? Steve Buscemi just got punched the other day.
Really?
Yeah, just walking around New York. Wow.
Weren't there like girls on TikTok getting punched in the face too by guys?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, there was like random girls just getting punched in the face.
Just random acts of violence for our entertainment.
I think.
Brutal.
I don't know what that was all about, but I didn't hear that Steve Buscemi got punched in the face.
Yeah, I haven't been telling many people I did it.
Because they knew it was him?
I don't know. Yeah, they said, we really hate Boardwalk Empire. Boom.
Nucky says hello.
I never watched it.
It was a good show. Speaking of character actors, I got a story here for you. I don't have a lot of stories. This time of year, you know I'm all about Phillies baseball and really just baseball in general. So I'm just watching a lot of baseball right now. Phillies are kicking ass. I'm loving that. But I came across this story, and I tagged this one to talk about on air here because we kind of talk about things like this a lot. You know who Paul O'Neill is?
Paul O'Neill. Didn't he walk on the moon?
That was Neil Armstrong.
Oh.
So he is a former New York Yankee. And he starred in one episode of Seinfeld back in the 90s when Seinfeld was all the rage. In season 7, he had a cameo. And he just happened to be doing the guest broadcasting spot in a game this past week. And they referred to him as like, oh, here comes the star, Paul O'Neill, star of stage and screen. And he joked that he still gets paid royalties for being in that episode. And he says he's getting about $57. Doesn't say how frequently he's getting the $57 checks, but he says, yeah, they're about $57. It's not big time, but it's a good reminder that I was on that show and it was at the heart of its fame, and that's kind of cool. And also on that episode was like Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, Danny Tartabull, and Buck Showalter were also on the episode. Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees, he filmed the scene and they cut it. So Larry David played Steinbrenner instead of Steinbrenner playing himself. But can you imagine Derek Jeter getting a check for $57 and probably being like, what the fuck is this for?
I can. And here's why. I, as a marketer, I have a lot of affiliate sites out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot about a lot of them because they just stopped making money. But every once in a while, I get a check for like 6 cents from Amazon or something like that. Nothing like what he's getting.
Yeah.
But enough to remind you that, hey, you got a website out there that needs some tending to.
That's funny. Well, I mean, the play-by-play announcer for the Yankees said, hey, that's a glass of wine for you at a nice restaurant.
Yeah, sure.
Not nothing. $57 for doing nothing? Or doing like one scene 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
That makes me curious. Like, what does everybody else get?
Yeah, what if you just were in like, there's actors we talk about. They're like on this show, and you see him in that show, and you see him in that show. Especially back in the 80s, we would see the same guy all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, he's just getting $57 checks. He's getting 20 of them a month.
I wonder if you're not a guest, like, those guys were, if you're a real character actor.
One flat fee?
Yeah, I wonder if it's flat fee, or I wonder if there's, you get something in the long run.
I don't know.
I would think that the royalties are something that's more like, hey, if you do this, you'll get this pay and these royalties.
Yeah.
I would think that they wouldn't give royalties to every single person who's a character actor.
That's
the guy that
point.
appears as a a truck driver, for a quick joke, does he get it too?
Yeah, I mean, probably not. I mean, this is probably a thing where he was more of a guest star than he was an actor or an extra.
Even he's probably getting more money than Ernie Hudson.
Damn.
Speaking of Jerry Seinfeld, I got a quick bite for you. So remember we were talking last week about Jerry just trashed.
Oh, talking shit on Stern because he was on that podcast with Dana Carvey and David Spade. Yeah.
And he said, Stern's outflanked. Look,
yeah.
In terms of comedy, guys, can we be honest?
Yeah.
Well,
he's walking it back.
He's walking it back. So Jerry Seinfeld apologizes to Howard Stern for saying Stern lacks comedy chops and has been outflanked. That's what he said. He was outflanked by comedians with podcasts. Seinfeld clarified he meant Stern might feel surrounded by newer comedians, not outdone. Seinfeld emphasized his respect for Stern and hoped for forgiveness. Yeah, but he didn't walk back the part about him not being funny.
It's true. And the other thing is, like, Stern never feels like he's outclassed, or however he worded that. He might feel surrounded. He always feels like nobody gives him the attention that he needs or he deserves.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got the attention he deserves.
Yeah.
He just doesn't think it's enough.
Right. That's more accurate. You're right.
Here's another quick bite that I thought would be fun because we just talked not too long ago about Francis Ford Coppola. And,
he was protecting pervs.
He's protecting pervs. But is he a perv?
Oh, that would make sense.
From Variety, Megalopolis producer addresses reports of Francis Ford Coppola trying to kiss extras on set. I was never aware of any complaints of harassment, says the producer. So here's the story. Producer Darren Dimitri? That's probably better. Darren Dimitri.
Sure.
Defends Francis Ford Coppola against allegations of inappropriate behavior on the set of Megalopolis. Reports claim Coppola kissed extras to get them in the mood for a scene. Dimitri insists Coppola's actions were friendly and no complaints were made, he says. This is a quote from Dimitri. There were 2 days when we shot a celebratory Studio 54-esque club scene where Francis walked around the set to establish the spirit of the scene by giving kind hugs and kisses on the cheek to the cast and background players.
And cocaine was running wild.
Yeah. He added, it was his way to help inspire and establish the club atmosphere, which was so important to the film. I was never aware of any complaints or harassment or ill behavior, blah, 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 blah. So,
yeah, but who's going to complain about the producer? You're off the fucking movie if you start doing shit like that. That's that whole thing where it's just like, nobody said anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything's good. Nobody complained.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be a fucking whistleblower and get shit canned.
But this is that new Hollywood. Like, this is why there's intimacy coordinators, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Remember, who was that? The New York governor who got ousted just a couple years ago because he was walking around like kissing women on the cheek, and he tried to, Cuomo. Talk about Cuomo.
Okay, yeah.
So Cuomo's like, oh, but I'm an Italian, or
that's how we do things.
That's how we do things. It's like, dude, it changed. Like, you got to change with it. You sound like a complete fool who doesn't realize that things changed.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like this is probably that. Like, he probably doesn't realize that, he's an old man living a sheltered life in LA. Like, he doesn't know that things changed. That's the best excuse I can give the guy. Otherwise, he's a fucking pervy creep. And he ought to get the fuck out of Hollywood.
Hey, I was in Club 54. Come get me some of this.
I don't even know what that Megalopolis is. I mean, that's a hard word to say.
Francis Ford Coppola's new mega production thing, isn't it?
Well, it's mega. I can tell you that.
No, but I mean, like, he's spending like a shit ton of money on it, and he's been trying to get this made for the past decade.
Yeah, and I thought he was the only producer on it, but apparently there's other people throwing money in.
I thought so too.
Yeah. Does anyone care about Francis Ford Coppola? Does anyone care about any of those old guys anymore? What about Marty? What's his name?
Martin Scorsese?
Yeah. Does anyone go to Scorsese movies with excitement?
I like Scorsese movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like saying nobody cares about Steven Spielberg.
Is it?
I think so.
What's the last
different genre, but still.
But what's the last big Scorsese movie? I know he did one where Robert De Niro had the, de-age, but only his face de-aged. It was like a young Robert De Niro walking around as an old man. That was very bizarre. I forget what that was called. The Irishman.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably his last big thing.
I guess that was a hit.
Sure.
All right, I take it all back. Delete. Here's a quick one. A little bit of Bob Iger in this show today. So this is from Fandom Wire. It says, the title is Entertain First, Not Push Messages. X-Men 97 proves Bob Iger has no idea how to make a live-action X-Men movie without killing the true essence. So what does this mean, all right? I got summaries. I love how they're doing summaries in articles now.
I do like that.
I do too. Nobody has to read the article. And I don't know why they're doing it, because it keeps people from seeing the ads and them getting the ad revenue, but I love it.
The click-through rate has to be minimal. The amount of time spent on one page is like a fraction of what it used to be.
Not even one page, the top of one page. You don't even scroll down. So these are the summaries. I just copied and pasted them. X-Men 97 gave fans everything they wanted from the series, including a stellar narration backed by messages related to the real world. However, Bob Iger has only recently claimed that he wants Disney's projects to entertain and not send messages. So he's quoted saying that. That in itself might not be complementary to what the X-Men have traditionally stood for. So the article goes on and it talks about how a lot of what makes the X-Men work is it's real life problems and they're facing real life, scenarios.
Well, it really tapped into teenage angst because, teenagers don't feel like they belong anywhere. And the X-Men were outcasts. They didn't belong anywhere. People really tapped into that. It was like a good story at the right time.
Yeah. So where I think this article got it wrong is the problem with Disney isn't that there are stories like this within Disney products. It's they're trying to push an agenda. That's different. It's one thing to reflect the world. It's another to push people into believing this is the way it needs to be. I don't want to see any of that in any movie I go to watch, especially my lighthearted fantasy space wizards, kind of movies. Or Spider-Man swinging from this. I don't want to see anything like that in popcorn movies. But I don't think that's what X-Men was doing.
But the title of this article says that Iger doesn't know how to make X-Men live action movie.
Well, that because of that thing that he said, we're not putting out anything with messages anymore, that he's going to be a terrible distributor of X-Men movies going forward.
Well, unless what he meant to say was that we're not going to push an agenda. There can be a message, but it has to be entertaining as well.
Yeah, that's what I think he meant.
I don't think he, to come out with a message saying that, hey, we're not going to push agendas anymore is to confirm and admit that you were pushing agendas all along, which is something he doesn't want to say.
I had that same thought.
Yeah.
And he softened it big time, too.
Sure.
Don't want to own it. Deny. And, the thing I don't get, like Bob Iger came in for Bob Chapek. This was the whole, call it woke, whatever you want. Don't call it woke. I don't care. Whatever they decided to do that people are calling woke, that was a Bob Chapek thing. Why couldn't Bob Iger come in and say what he said, maybe say it a little bit better, but why didn't he say this sooner?
I mean, look, we're talking about a Supergirl movie coming out in 2026, and that's to follow up to the Superman movie that hasn't even come out yet. So we're planning way down the road. So Chapek was only in there for a brief time. I think he was in there for 2.5 years before they kicked him out and brought Iger back. He could have done a lot of damage in those 2.5 years, and we're still feeling the after effects of that.
Yeah, we definitely are.
So, I mean, for him to come in and undo everything Chapek did quicker, we'd end up with a lot of fucking Madam Webs.
Right. The thing that I always wonder is how many things have been created that we don't even know about that aren't coming out. It's like we saw the Warner Brothers guy decide, all right, this stuff's not going to make any money. We're going to kill it and just delete it from the servers. But Disney's having its own problem because people don't want to see their content for the different reasons. But
but I feel like they're still just putting that stuff out. Like Disney fans, you would know if they just canned something and never came out with it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Oh, here's one fuck up. Probably a fuck up, more of an omission. I had mentioned Inside Out 2 coming out. How they're adding the new emotion in the girl's head, Riley's head, is going to be anxiety.
Right.
There's actually 2 new characters, it's anxiety and embarrassment.
Okay.
So that could add to a whole new story.
Isn't anxiety and embarrassment awfully close?
Yes. Before we had fear, disgust, joy, and sadness. Those were the 4 we had before. Now we have anxiety and embarrassment who come in as a pair.
All right. Yeah, they're related.
I feel like it's a good story because like kids rarely have embarrassment or anxiety. They're just fucking kids doing kid stuff. Then you hit those teenage years and it's like, oh boy, you say the wrong thing in class or who knows, here comes anxiety and embarrassment. And boy, that wheel starts turning. Where does one stop and the next start? Damn.
I relate. I got my struggles with it. It's all of a sudden, it's like, oh God, fear of everything. It's like, Jesus Christ, you gotta be afraid of everything. But some people, just you get triggered with it. Let's keep going with the Bob Iger thing. So this is pretty funny. So do you know what upfronts are?
No.
The upfronts, I don't totally know what they are, to be honest with you, but it's a show. It's an event. It's kind of like how Colin Jost just roasted President Biden. It's a big collection of people. You get to see the president get roasted, and I guess there's other things being discussed and all that. So
is it within a company or like what's the audience?
Yep, but this is within a company. So this is for Disney, Disney upfronts, or maybe it's it's the Disney upfronts. I guess it is.
Okay.
Anyway, so Jimmy Kimmel, he's on ABC,
which is Disney,
owned by Disney. So he's the guy that did the roast. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you saw the Colin Jost roast of Biden.
I did. It was pretty cringe. There the media responded, like the media, what is it called? The media, something media dinner, White House media
Correspondence dinner, yeah.
The media correspondents, like they did not know how to take it.
No.
And like he was going like very anti right wing, and there's right wing news correspondents in attendance. So like you're telling jokes are only going to land with half the audience. So I would struggle to be a roaster, I think.
I mean, these jokes are brutal. Some of them, like Biden, like, do you remember that? Oh, you probably don't.
Oh,
Things like that. Like,
probably
holy
remember,
shit,
yeah.
You're making fun of the guy's memory. I mean, it's not even like, listen, there's certain things we don't want you to talk about. In a roast, it's like, we're going to just come right out and talk about it.
Well, there was just that Tom Brady roast where they, Jeff Ross made fun of Bob Kraft getting hand jobs at a massage parlor, and like Brady went over and told him to knock that shit off.
So my understanding is that was a joke. Brady didn't mean that. I think he was trying to like be part of the fun and go over and like knock that off, but it was already moving on to a next segment, so the whole thing looked awkward. Right. I don't know if that's true either. But what I really have been hearing is that the jokes that just beat the shit out of Gazelle.
Yeah.
And the new karate boyfriend that she's got, she didn't want any of that.
She hated it.
She didn't even know she was walking into that.
She was real collateral damage.
Yeah. Yeah, these things are rough.
That's the thing. You do a roast or you get roasted, it opens it up to everybody in your life that you have any kind of fringe connection to. It's all fair game.
All right, so let me read you the Jimmy Kimmel roast, and let's see if we think it's good enough.
Okay.
Let's see if we think it's good enough. So I guess Jimmy Kimmel goes out here, and here's the entire monologue. Let's hear it all for the talented stars who were forced to come here today because of a clause in their contract their agents didn't bother to read. I'm glad you're all inside. I heard Amazon left you guys on the porch. You're lucky you didn't get stolen. I'm not sure what that's about. I get the feeling Amazon might have cut a lot of entertainment budget, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't see any tie between Amazon and Disney.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that joke. It is so great to be back in the abandoned shopping cart district. I actually don't even know where this took place, so I don't know what to talk about. And as I look out into your long-dead marketing executive eyes, I'm filled with a sense of enthusiasm that is truly unrivaled. I don't know if you can tell I'm igniting pure joy right now. 2 years ago, I couldn't be here in person because I had COVID, and last year I couldn't be here because of the writer's strike. And this year I couldn't think of a third excuse. I tried diarrhea on the plane, but I guess they get that all the time now. But it's so good to be back. You're probably wondering why I am so giddy today. Okay, I'll tell you why. It's because Disney is using proprietary meta-tagging data that leverages video intelligence to tap into the moods and emotions within the content we create. That's why I'm so proud of what we've done here, being part of innovations like Disney's Magic Words. What's that?
I have no idea.
Me neither. Until this afternoon, I thought Disney's Magic Words were bibbidi-bobbidi. We own everything, fuck you. It would seem I was mistaken. Half the world's population connects with Disney every day. Did we know that? I didn't. And you know why I didn't? We made it up. I don't think Jesus even connects with half the world's population every day. I know you got hit with a lot of information today, but if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that, and then it says president of global advertising, Rita Farrow's mother spoiled her rotten with hundreds of trips to Disney. I guess she spoke before Jimmy went on. We went one time in 1978, pointing to a photo of his family upstage. That's me with my arms folded and my sister about to make out with a racist statue outside the store that sold cigarettes. Okay?
Oh,
That's
it was probably the cigar store Indian.
Yeah, probably, right? That's my favorite Disney memory, my only Disney memory. Things are good for a change. They're pretty good. We're back in the strong masculine hands of our once and rightful Bob, just as the prophecy foretold. Poor Bob Iger. This guy, he should be retired by now. He should be off on a yacht somewhere. Instead, he's here pretending to be excited about a new season of Will fucking Trent.
Oh, Will Trent. Okay, yeah.
What is Will Trent? I don't know.
It's some dumb show they have on Disney Plus, I think, or Hulu.
Yeah, I don't know. Bob tried to sell us last year. He put us up for sale. And if that wasn't bad enough, no one wanted to buy us. No one was interested. Bob explained that he didn't mean he literally wanted to sell us. He was just testing the waters for Wall Street. Thanks, Bob. Usually when people test the waters, they dip in a toe. They don't drown their children. But we're glad you're back, albeit for a limited time, which is very McRib of you. But I think what we've learned over the last few years is that the only Bob that can replace Bob is Bob. And with that said, I'm thrilled to present the most exciting artificial CEO technology in the history of American business. Behold, Bob isn't going anywhere ever again. We uploaded him to the cloud so that we could live in peace and prosperity under the watchful AI of the Iger. By the way, that's just the model. The real AI Bob will blast lasers out of his purchase funnel. So hey, how could anyone even think about selling ABC? This is the home of the rookie. This is the home of the Golden Bachelor. The Golden Bachelor is a key part of our strategy to steal CBS's viewers by putting them all, it's just by putting them all together. As you know, Jerry, the Golden Bachelor, and his bride, Teresa, decided to end their marriage after a very short union. But even though the whole thing was a complete jerk-off, it was so popular. We are now launching the Golden Bachelorette, a game show where you can win an old lady. Congratulations, Joan. Joan is our new Golden Bachelorette. She has 4 kids and 2 grandchildren. Are the kids ready to see Grandma get raw dogged in a jacuzzi?
Oh, man.
Okay, now I'll open the floor to questions. What a weird roast.
Wow. So this is going back to where they were talking about Disney getting sold out to Apple.
I guess that was just ABC. Wasn't that what you think he was talking about? Did they try to sell ABC?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He was going to like section off the ABC television portion.
Right. As I read this the first time, I was thinking, yeah, I remember them talking about selling, but I don't think they ever actually put Disney, like the Disney brand,
I think
up
you're
for
right.
bid.
I think you're right. It was just ABC. He was also talking about selling off ESPN and the whole sports segment. Clearly, there was no takers there.
I'm surprised that doesn't do well.
Do you think there's such a thing as too much diversification, though? Like, if you're trying to like get things back in order, I don't think being spread that far apart is a good thing.
In what way?
You want to focus on Disney parks, Disney animation, things like that. Do you really want to have ABC? Do you really want to have ESPN? Do you want to have all these other tentacles?
That's how you make the money. You don't make the money by having one of those things. You make the money by having a lot of those things. But some of those things will fail, and they'll try to sell it off and recoup some of their losses.
Yeah.
But is it good? I don't know. I mean, it's a different world now. People are going to YouTube. YouTube is like the Amazon store of content. Everything is just all over the fucking place. You want to see a documentary about spatulas? It's probably on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Spatula City.
Yeah. So it makes me think that maybe if I were a content company, I wouldn't want to be all over the place right now. I would want to
That's what I'm
center into
saying.
the stuff that I do really well.
Right. And if you made bad decisions in the past, and you need to recoup from those bad decisions, maybe selling off an ESPN, not because it's not successful, but because it's really not what you do. That could be a quick win, a quick cash windfall to right the wrongs you did in the other sectors.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes you're very smart. Sometimes you say very smart things.
Sometimes I'm dumb.
Duh.
All right, I got 3 more stories here. This is a quick one. Again, everything was like Marvel or it's
Yeah.
just the way it is sometimes. These franchises are so big right now, they hog all the headlines. Marvel TV head explains return of Marvel television banner. Reason for rebrand. So I guess now they have a new...
People really pay attention to these fucking opening scroll banners, don't they?
They do. Because
Why?
they stuff them with Easter eggs. And
But who cares?
I know, but people read into some of the Easter eggs too. It's like the font was green. That means the Hulk is going to make an appearance. What?
Or maybe Loki. Yeah, they did that whole thing. One was all Black Panther because Chadwick Boseman just passed away.
Yeah.
People really, really stretch for these fucking opening scrolls. Like, really?
Well, here it says Marvel Television has been reintroduced with the goal of making Marvel TV shows more accessible and less burdensome for viewers who haven't followed all previous content.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brad Winterbaum, Marvel Studios head of TV, streaming, and animation, emphasized during the Disney upfronts that the relaunch under the Marvel Television banner aims to allow viewers to jump into the Marvel universe more easily. The first new series under this banner will be Agatha All Along.
Okay, yeah.
Can't believe they're going to try... They must have shot so much of it when they were like, pull the plug. They're like, we're like 90% done. Fuck. All right, we'll release it. Set to premiere in September, on September 18th. This approach reflects a strategy to make Marvel shows more like comic books, where readers can start with any story and explore the universe at their own pace without needing to understand every previous event. Now, haven't they kind of been saying that? Haven't they said you can go in and watch any one of these movies and enjoy them on the merit of the movie and not have to know all this? Or is this a new campaign to start really reinforcing to all the people, hey, you don't have to watch it all. Come watch a few of them.
No,
Just watch a
I
few.
think we've been saying we don't want to feel obligated to watch them all to keep up. I don't know if they've ever said that before. So we joked before, now that we're 10, 15, however many years into this MCU, that, you know, parents moving forward are going to have to make the decision of, you're going to send your kids to school, you're going to send your kids to catch up on all the MCU stuff so they can watch entertainment moving forward. And it was really feeling that way. And if I don't remember them ever saying we're going to get away from that. And you can jump in whenever you want. But if they had said it before, it's bullshit because there's stuff that happens. They tie everything in together and not in the Easter egg way where it's like, who the fuck is this guy now? There's like a whole new character introduced that you have no idea who the fuck it is. And they don't do a good job of developing that character because of the way the MCU has been set up to this point.
What's an example of that?
How about the girl from Daredevil? Echo. There you go.
That's a great point. So then if they're going to put her into another movie, people are going to go, well, I didn't see Echo, and I don't know. And she's got all these powers in a background.
Not just that. What if you didn't watch? What if you had no idea who Kingpin was?
I guess you're right. I mean, that's a big, important character with a background that you need to understand.
He was this looming presence over top of Maya the entire show. If you didn't know who the fuck he was, you wouldn't have known why why was he shot in the face. You wouldn't have seen any of that because all that happened in Hawkeye.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I kind of think, too, you could just watch half these movies and go, I don't know who the fuck that is, but that was entertaining.
But that's not a good standalone movie then.
Definitely not. No, it's story-wise, no.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I mean, I want a story when I watch a movie.
I can't argue there.
But at the same time, for people that are watching it all the time, like, what's the balance there? Like, are they going to reintroduce everybody and do character building for every single character that they've done 5 times over?
That's a lot.
It's too much.
All right. Well, I only got 2 more, so we're going to keep cranking. We're almost at the hour here. Here's one from Slash Film. How John Wayne tried to stop Steven Spielberg from directing 1941. Do you know this movie?
I do, yeah. Great movie.
It's a great movie.
Absolutely.
I've never seen it until last week.
What's John Wayne's beef?
All right, this is funny. All right, do you remember there was what was his name here? I got to look at it. General Stilwell.
Yeah.
Okay. So John Wayne advised Steven Spielberg against making 1941, calling it very un-American. It's a very un-American movie, he said, and warning Spielberg not to joke about World War II. So I read this story. I was like, what? What's this movie about? I got to see what this movie is. Like, I knew it was a parody of World War II, but I was like, Is it offensive? Like, why would he not want to see it? Or be in it, rather? So it says, Spielberg had hoped that Wayne would play Major General Stilwell, but Wayne declined, citing the war's significance and his guilt over not serving. Robert Stack ultimately took the role. So I read this story. I was like, that's interesting. I want to see the movie. I loved it.
It's a great movie.
People shit on it like crazy. Like crazy. Like it's the only Spielberg flop I hear. Like it's the worst movie ever made. I went and watched it and had a great fucking time.
Yeah.
Jokes were funny. It's a little raunchy at times.
That was a product of its time.
Yeah. It's a product. But the special effects, dude, were incredible.
Yeah.
With John Belushi flying that plane back and forth in the city. And like, if that was a stage, it had to be a stage. It had to be a set.
Sure.
It was a massive set. And I don't think I've seen better special effects from that era. And I guess that was like 78 or 79.
Around there, yeah.
Like they were as good, if not better, than Star Wars. Watching just the planes fly around, the Ferris wheel takes off, it goes down.
Yeah, rolling down the hill.
rolling down the boardwalk.
Towards the boardwalk, yeah.
God, it was so fucking good. So many good jokes. It was one of those movies where it's like there's not really much of a story. It's more like little skit performances all tied together. And that's how a lot of movies are. So maybe that's what people didn't like.
I would think that like Dr. Strangelove would be a more offensive World War II farcical movie.
You know, I've never seen that.
You never seen Dr. Strangelove? Okay.
Is it good?
The subtitle is How I Learned to Love the Bomb and something like that. I forget the whole.
Yeah.
It's all about the nuclear Manhattan Project, basically.
And that's one of those movies by Clockwork Orange guy. What's his name? Damn it. Kubrick, yeah. You ever see Eyes Wide Shut? He made that.
I have, yeah. That was his last movie.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Fucking weird.
Is it all porn? I heard it was just like nudity, sex, nothing else. Masked people having orgies.
That wasn't the main part of the movie. Almost the main part was like, oh, how do I get into the orgy? Oh, I need to get a costume. Oh, I need to do... It was not the sole thing. It was the most memorable thing, sure. It came out when I was like 14.
What's the movie about?
It's weird. It's Kubrick, you know? It's like, what's The Shining about? Like, you can give a synopsis, but it's not really going to give you the whole spirit of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, you say The Shining. I right away think of Scatman Crothers.
Yeah.
And of course, that makes me think of Hong Kong Phooey. I was watching Zapped the other day with Scott Baio.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, what a cheesy. That movie is that movie PG? Is that movie PG? There was more nudity in that movie. And I'm pretty sure that was like 1980s PG.
In every 80s movie, there was like the topless scene.
Oh, there was more
Always.
than that. Lots more than that. I was like, that's crazy that this is PG.
I think I may have seen Zapped once in my life.
Oh my God, Scatman Crothers is in it. That's what made me think of it. Oh, he's got a cool voice. All right, well, why don't we end with a sad note? You know, because I'm a real
Downer,
bummer.
man.
Yeah, Roger Corman, Hollywood mentor and king of the bees, dies at 98.
I didn't know he was still alive.
I knew he was, but I didn't know he was 98.
That's up there.
Yeah. So Roger Corman, the legendary king of the bee movies, passed away at 98. Known for low-budget classics such as Little Shop of Horrors, Corman helped launch the careers of major filmmakers such as Coppola, Scorsese, and Howard, the Duck.
Ron Howard?
Probably Ron Howard.
Probably Ron Howard, yeah.
He died at his Santa Monica home. That's where the Ferris wheel went down the...
Yeah.
See, everything segues right back to...
Right back to it.
We're so good. We're segue masters here. Leaving a lasting impact on Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, well, what are his top 10 movies? I asked AI. I want to see how many of these movies you've seen.
Okay.
1960, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
You saw the 1961?
The original one.
Yeah.
I only saw it out of curiosity because I liked the 79 one?
80s. That remake was
80s?
the 80s, I think.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I never saw it. Was it good?
Yeah, more alike than different.
Did it have singing?
That was just the doo-wop singers. That was the biggest thing I was missing.
But they had a plant, like a full puppet plant?
Not as good.
Feed me, Seymour.
It didn't have that, no.
How about The Mask of the Red Death, a gothic horror film based on Edgar Allan Poe's story?
No.
That was 1964. 1960, House of Usher, another Poe adaptation starring Vincent Price.
I may have seen that.
The Pit and the Pendulum.
I definitely saw that. Okay, I didn't see Fall of the House of Usher, but I did see that.
Looks like from 1960 to 1965, he was just doing Poe movies. 1963, The Raven.
The Pit and the Pendulum, did that have in Jeremy Irons?
Oh, I don't have that.
Oh, I think it did.
A Bucket of Blood, 1959.
I heard of it.
I've never heard of that. Bucket of Blood.
Wait, when
19
did Pit and the Pendulum come out?
61.
No,
1960.
then I didn't see that one, no.
A Bucket of Blood is a satirical horror film set in the beatnik culture.
I heard of this.
That's it. I'm actually very curious about what that looks like. The Wild Angels, 1966, a biker film starring Peter Fonda and Nancy Sinatra. Would that be before or after Easy Riders with Peter Fonda?
What year?
66.
That would have been before.
How about Attack of the Crab Monsters, 1957?
No.
A quintessential Corman B movie involving giant mutated crabs. Piranha, 1978. Produced by Corman. This film was about killer fish.
This was like a knockoff of Jaws, I think people accused it. But Jaws didn't come out until 79.
Maybe Jaws is the ripoff.
Maybe. But I remember Piranhas. I think this got like traction because of the success of Jaws.
Yeah.
I think Piranhas was like kind of caught in that wave.
Okay.
Pun intended.
They remade them not too long ago and like really over the top, like gore and nudity and all that shit. And then the last on this top 10 list, which should be number one on this list, Death Race 2000.
Death Race 2000 was fantastic.
Greatest movie. I mean,
Funny.
stupid, ridiculous.
David
absurd.
Carradine.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. That's right. Dr. Frankenstein.
But he's done a lot more. Corman, I mean, I just remember seeing his name on everything. He did that Fantastic Four movie.
I was going to say he did that Fantastic Four movie that never saw the light of day.
Yeah. Remember that story?
They sent it to him just to maintain the license, and the actors really thought they were making a real movie.
They thought they were making a real movie.
Do you think Corman knew?
I think he knew. He had to know.
Had to know?
Right? Because he's an executive. He's at the top. He must know. He must know. They must have said, look, we want to retain these rights. You need to put something together. Here's a minuscule budget. Don't tell your actors this is never going to see the light of the day. You don't think he knew?
I thought they just like brought him on to direct.
I don't
Maybe
know.
he thought it was going to be real. it was hard to tell. Like his movies were like real campy and not great.
Right. Right. It was kind of like, I would compare him with Trauma a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think there were times where his movies tried to be more serious or tried to be a little bit more structured, and sometimes they were just off the wall wacky. You never knew what you were going to get.
Right, right.
Well, no
Almost
more
like
of
an Ed
that.
Wood.
Very much like an Ed Wood. Yeah, like a more modern Ed Wood.
Yeah.
So do we have people now? We must have people now. We talk about all the movies we like Thanksgiving and the one about the llama with space lasers. Like all these are Corman-inspired type of productions. If Corman never made those movies, would we be able to watch all this garbage on Prime and Tubi?
Who was the guy you went down the hole with? Uwe Boll.
Yeah.
He's kind of like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is that our modern Corman?
Maybe.
Is Uwe still making movies?
I hope not.
Jesus. He made one, if I can remember what it was called.
Didn't they kill kids?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about now. It's the one I'm trying to remember. It was based on a video game called Postal.
Postal,
I've never even played the game or heard of it, but it was the most bad taste movie. I've seen worse. I've seen some John Waters that were pretty rough. But yeah, this Postal movie was pretty tough.
Damn.
So there you go. End of an era. There goes Roger Corman.
Damn, 98. Those shit movies kept him young.
I need to make shit movies. I'm feeling old.
Well, for now, we'll just settle for shit podcasts. So thanks everybody for listening. Episode 1 of the new show. Did you hear about this? Thanks for tuning in.
We are the Segway Masters, aren't we?
Again, tell a friend, and we'll see you next week.
Say bippity boppity fuck you.